Welcome back to Spotlight. I want to go right to my guest, President Reese Penn, and Public Relations Officer Keith Smith of the newly formed Virgin Islands Transportation Alliance. Brothers, welcome to Spotlight. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too, Ojwinka, and thanks for having us.
Yes, man. Is this a new taxi association? It says Virgin Islands Transportation Alliance. It sounds like an umbrella group for all associations. I know you got many associations, yes. So you got to inform us about this one.
Well, first of all, Cromwell, what we would like to do is to give you an overview of what the thinking in coming up with this group. The Virgin Island Transportation Alliance, Inc. 2014, is a group of taxi drivers who see the need for a more professional and organized transportation service here in the British Virgin Islands. The mission of this thinking our mission is to provide transportation service which also include water taxi to visitors and persons throughout the Virgin Islands for reward. This will be done in a professional, courteous, and a friendly manner. Our objectives, what are they? To ensure the availability of well, clean, maintained ground transportation and water taxi service, operated by trained professional operators, well versed with knowledge of history, culture, and tradition of the British Virgin Islands. Also, taxi drivers and water taxis will be cleaned and properly groomed and always ready to provide service on request for reward to our customers. Now, why customer service counts in this transportation industry? Tourism is a very important, very competitive and dynamic industry. And our competitors is taking no chance in using exceptional customer service to gain the competitive edge. So we must rise to that challenge. In rising to this challenge, that is why quality customer service is meeting and expecting the customer's expectation, exceeding the customer's expectation every time, and putting the customer first in everything that we do.
Okay. So how is this training? Are you going to be training everyone that comes into the association? Is there a training criteria for members to join the alliance?
Yes, there are criteria for joining the alliance, but as you touch on training, all taxi drivers have been given an opportunity by the First Taxi Academy training at the Eileen Passing Auditorium couple months ago, about 2 months thereabout, in order to bring us into and sensitize us into what this service industry required of us as taxi drivers to produce excellent customer service.
What's your relationship to the other associations?
The relationship is that VITA, Virgin Island Transportation Alliance Incorporation, is open to all taxi drivers from Anegada to Jost Van Dyke. So there is no separation with us. We are one taxi group. What we're saying with VITA is that we want to see the level, the standard. We want to ensure that the product, government is right now spending an awful lot of money to give us a facility. And in this facility, we also have to match with the level of service as good ambassadors.
So you said they're spending a lot of money to give you a facility, meaning what?
The cruise ship pair to
Okay.
facilitate bigger ships, better ships, and more passengers.
So the taxi drivers need to upgrade their professionalism.
Without question, sir.
Okay. And you had this one workshop, what was it,
The-
2 or 3 day workshop?
Yes,
in the taxi academy.
As a matter of fact, it was
Academy.
the first taxi academy training.
Yeah. Is that something that's going to be ongoing? Are new taxi drivers going to have to go through that process? How are you going to make sure that the taxi drivers all have a similar professional level?
I think it is very important for us to continue the level and the type of training that was provided for the taxi drivers at that first academy training. It sort of brings us into the standard, all the requirements. It talks about customer care. It talks about who is our customer. It talks about how important our customer is to the industry. It talks about how we have to handle and manage the customer before us. And the fact that we are now preparing to receive the bigger ships, which bring a volume of some 8,000 plus passengers per day in some weeks, we have to rise to the standard, and we have to be trained continuously. This is not a one-off. It's a continuous training program.
So you have persons in the Invita who will qualify to bring taxi drivers up to that standard?
Well, under all the taxi association and all the taxi and livery under the Ministry of Communication and Works is responsible for training.
So the government is going to offer the training?
Yes.
Okay.
They have started the first training.
And that was the Taxi Academy?
Yes, sir.
And they're going to continue with that training?
And that Taxi Academy training facilitate all taxi drivers, including Vita.
Okay. You wanted to say
Eddie Wenka,
something?
just want to give credit where credit is due. The Taxi Academy training was actually put on by a collaboration of the BVI Tourist Board as well as the Taxi and Livery Commission. So we have to give credit for that. It was properly attended, well received. They had a wonderful guest speaker. But let's backtrack a bit. Speaking about Vita, the origin of Vita, what we are all about and stuff like that. Now, in light of where the industry is headed, as my president mentioned, with the new developments that are coming about, we saw the need for that improvement, as well as seeing where the industry was heading as it was. And it was heading for devastation, and we couldn't have that. So there was a group of taxi drivers seeing where the faults were, willing to address the faults. And it was a number of guys, more than what we have. Right now, Vita is about 20 drivers strong. We solicited much more than that. What you see of Vita right now is what's left of the guys that we, went out to, reached out to, ask them to, let's come together, have this coalition, and let's make a difference. We stuck together. And I think a big part of that, why we stuck together, is because we always put Almighty in our presence. Before we start anything, we have a prayer, and we always end with a prayer. Just the other day, we went doing our bush cutting project, and things started wrong and stuff like that because we were all over the place. And before that project was finished, in the middle of the street, we stood right there, held hands, and said our prayers. So I guess that foundation, what we started from, I guess, it was what cements us and keeps us together like this. Now, there was a whole bunch of things going wrong in the industry. For instance, we had a lot of trouble at King Garden Bay, drivers, wanting to make that money within a short space of time because the season was short. Fortunately, for the upcoming seasons, we would have a elongated season, so it wouldn't be that much of a pressure. But that's what it was, and we saw nothing but bloodshed coming somewhere about. So we took it upon ourselves to develop a program, a system at King Garden Bay that actually is working up to this day. which is a rotation system, which is fair for all, and it has been working. Now, we also have had the privilege of having the Ports Authority give us permission to assist to help out in the smooth operation on the cruise ship dock. Under the Ports Authority supervision, we're not taking over anything. We just assisting in the smooth operation on the cruise ship dock in terms of helping with the dispatching and stuff like that. So the team, VITA, has been well received from most entities, being Ports Authority, Taxi and Livery Commission, Tourist Board, and all of that. And we've been working along with them to, have a voice for the taxi. The taxi drivers had a voice in a very long time. We have not had representation. We now have that. And the group that we put together right now, we're trying to offer security, for which we didn't have before. Security in terms of, from a long-standing point of view. For instance, if you were unable to walk sometime in the future because of any illness, under the company, we still look out for you. We still take care of you. Security in terms of, I don't know if my president wants to speak about the insurance.
Yes.
Let him touch base on that for a bit.
We have communicated with 3 insurance companies, and one has now emerged as the one that is choice for us to use for the taxis. And we have sourced them in order to provide liability insurance up to $5 million for any taxi who get involved in any accident or any situation. In this industry, God forbid that anything happen in that thing, but once you're driving on the road, sometimes things happen. So we make sure we provide that foundation, that $5 million liability is afforded to all. They also have a $5 million insurance on the company itself, because sometime a guest will be getting on to your bus in King Garden Bay, and you under VITA, and that person slip, bruise, or any injury.
Accident.
Yes, accident. You covered, and they're not going after that driver. That's the beauty about having this insurance coverage. They come after the company. Company address that situation thing. So it's a protective umbrella. And not only that, we have areas where you can say to us in the company, Reese has his next of kin, and he lists them as his beneficiary. So if he demise, your shares in the company, if you buy shares or whatever your standing is in the company, goes to
your beneficiary.
Your
and this
next
is
of
when
kin.
you're talking about the company, you're talking about VITA.
Yeah, VITA.
Okay.
So because one of the things that I want to say to Juinka, and no misconception here, every taxi organization, the first reading is the company. The name of the company is what is ascribed to BVI Taxi Association, B Fallon Taxi, or Western Taxi. But they all companies. We know difference in terms of that. Our great need is that we see that need at the cruise pier because of the bulk of transportation service that is there. And seeing the need to make sure that we properly covered, or families properly looked after, like Keith just alluded to. If your transport break down on the hill and you have 25 guests on board, immediately once you call, we dispatch someone to you. So there's no, the little break in the link thing, and it works well.
So you have on the road service for persons who have mechanical difficulties,
Without-
taxi drivers
yes.
with mechanical difficulties.
Yeah. Without,
so you
and-
could feel confident that if you're driving a taxi and you have a load of people and you have a breakdown somewhere, another taxi will come immediately, take those people from you and help you to repair your bus and make sure that the visitor experience is kept at a certain level.
And not only that, for example, if you is like Kit and I, if Kit bus is broken down, I just take my bus, he explain the people his mechanical situation, make sure that they know what's going on and that there's no misconception, because sometimes the tourists, when they're in these areas and you don't communicate what's going on, they have a
They get suspicious, they get uncomfortable.
yes. So I will say, listen, talk to your guests and tell them the reason why you're changing is because you're experiencing some mechanical difficulties here, and he continue with my bus. Okay? I take his bus and ensure that it get to a safe location that he can then address any situation with it.
So
So
this-
I know that time is short, so I just want to put certain things out there. We started out talking about customer service. I just want to reiterate that even though we've taken this initiative to improve our customer service, it doesn't start or end with taxi drivers. It goes way beyond that in terms of throughout the whole community, to the hotels, the ports, customs, immigration. It's all about customer service being stepped up. I had the opportunity to go to C-Trade in Miami. This was under the Taxi and Livery Commission, and then to St. Martin. That was what FCCA. That was under my team, Vita, as well as the Ministry of Communication and Works. And they all said the same thing. It all comes down to service. I mean, you could be a first-class destination if your service is not up to par, you don't get that recognition. We were told that we are up there in terms of expectations when it comes into the BVI, but the problem is we don't live up to that expectations. So we are in an effort to try to change that. It's not everyone will agree with what you're doing. I must put that out there. Just the other day when we had our lunch and I said something about even if you have to pretend. And of course you get negative blogs about that. I mean, you speak about a multi-father, you will have negative blogs. That's people's fundamental right. But at the same time, understand. I mean, I was just trying to emphasize the importance of customer service,
Yes.
that even if it came down to that, worst case scenario, and we do it every day. We don't get along with all our workmates. We do a lot of pretending every day. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is.
Let me help you with that.
Uh-huh.
If you might get up and have a bad day, or you might have a bad day with your family at home, or something might be bothering you.
Right.
But when you come to deal with the customers, when you come to deal with the tourists and give them
Separate the two.
experience, you have to pour a cup, even if you're feeling down.
Exactly.
So
You
that's
have to do what you
you
have
have
to
to pour a cup. I think that's what you mean.
Yes.
to say.
That's exactly what I was
That's
trying
what
to
you
say.
mean to say, yeah.
No, another thing is I think us being taxi professionals, we get a lot of unfair criticism sometimes. And it's not so bad the criticism, you could deal with that. My problem is when the criticism is there, I mean, where are the people that, for instance, we, as a taxi driver, you may pick up somebody, drop them down the road, and they may not have the fare to pay you, but you drop them anyway. Sometimes you might have a school kid going to school or something like that, and for some reason, as a parent, you're delinquent on your payments, but somehow your child still gets to school. Where are these people to step up and say, okay, well, the taxi drivers are not all that bad. Something is good about them. That's the part that annoys me. The fact that no one is willing to step up and say, speak on behalf of taxi driver for some good that we have done, whether it be to stop on the side of the road and assist someone, so that's the annoying part for me.
But that's gonna be your job, Keith.
Well, actually, I accept it.
You gotta be your job
I accept that.
to put that good face, to put that good image in
Well,
front of the taxi driver.
that's one of our challenges. We want to improve the image of the taxi professionals, not only locally but regionally as well as internationally.
Yeah. We found out at 11 o'clock. How can persons join the organization, get in touch with you, and be a part of what seems to be a really important experience?
Well, the fact that on mornings I do briefing, every morning once there's a ship, we do prayer, and then we do briefing first and then prayer, and we get into the activities. We talk about looking out for each other and so forth. So everybody is there at a given ship day. We're hoping to make the forms for application available by January, because we targeting the opening of the jetty, the dock itself, which likely to be January, probably early February, thereabout. So we tag it in that particular time frame, and then we'll start on the mornings. We'll be, making the forms available. Ojurinka, no one is forced into this. Every taxi stand start as we did. The form and
they develop.
So we are not out there being heavy-handed with anybody. We are not illegal in any sense. We properly documented.
You're just making an offer.
That's all we're doing, sir.
And for any of our whatever we're doing, whatever privileges were handed over to us, whether it be in terms of assisting on the cruise ship dock, if for any reason there's some other organization that wants to take up that task and feel that we shouldn't be there, we don't have a problem stepping back
Whatsoever.
and allowing whatever organization it is to do that, being it's okay with the Ports Authority or any other entity that's out there.
But certainly you all could join together, and if
That's our hope.
if there's something that need to be strengthened in VITA to make everybody, to satisfy everybody's needs and desires on the ports or wherever you are in the transportation industry, I'm hoping that y'all will come together as brothers and work things out, because there's just so much division and
always
everybody pulling here and pulling there.
That's always,
I don't think that's necessary. Is there a phone number for somebody to call you?
Actually, not presently. It's so funny that you asked that, because we've just been working on the office as of today, and today again we've been working on the website. So presently you could call. I'm the PRA. You could call me. The number is 499-9230, and that's how you would get to me.
343-8112, Mr. Penn. But to drink before we close here, I want to say we see the need for a lot of things. The season start, we didn't have a scenic site that we could say fairly and truly to give our guests on a tour to be able to see the beauty of the British Virgin Islands. We see the need. We partnered with Communication and Works, the Tourist Board, and the Ports Authority. And we cut all the sites. Our guests today was you could see the joy and the excitement on their face. I'm talking about continuous repeat guests on the English ship that came in. And this was so great. So at times we see the need. Last year we raised money to cut it. We decided to do it ourselves this time.
And we still got criticism for it.
And
which is quite natural,
You just
matter what you do.
The thing is, if you feel that there's a need and you're filling that need and you're helping,
of course.
let it just fall.
Of course.
Everybody would benefit. If the service level steps up, everybody would benefit.
Of course, the tourism product will improve. And
Amen.
the more money we all will make, right?
Yes, sir.
It's great. Thank you very much for being my guest.
My pleasure.
We'll come back again. We'll get more deeply into the discussion of and by the time we'll have things better sorted out, and we could talk some more about the Virgin Islands Transportation Alliance.
We look forward to it.
We look forward to being here again, and to be able to go in depth, even if we do a open line thing. We look forward to that.
Okay.
I take this opportunity to hail up all my brother taxi drivers and to let them know, for us to be successful in this country, in the service industry, we have to work together. We must know that customer care is one of the single most important aspects of customer service. We want to be true ambassadors, and we hope to lead by example.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, all the best.
All right.
We're going to take a break for word from our sponsor. We're going to come right back with more Spotlight right after these words.
Spotlight is brought to you by Tortola Concrete Limited and H. Lavity Stout Community College.